Ly says hi. Ly says, what are you teaching? What am I teaching? What am I teaching? Well, I'm teaching the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a great book by this professor, Stephen Covey. So feel free to ask me anything regarding the book. For example, what is think win-win, etc. Give me the page number if you can. Have you finished the whole book? Yes, I finished the whole book. Ly says cover to cover. Yes. Ly says you understand all 7 habits. You understand. Do I understand all 7 habits? Do I understand all 7 habits? Do I understand all 7 habits? I wouldn't say I understand all 7 habits fully, but I would say I'm an advanced in terms of the skill proficiency level. I wouldn't say I'm a professional, expert, or a master, but I would say I'm an advanced. So I've still got things to learn. I'll say intermediate to advanced. I see that yeah, maybe I will play safe. I'll say intermediate. But I guess that I understand it enough to be able to the contents enough, yeah. Because I try to sometimes I guess I try to read between the lines and um, see what is the meaning of it. For example, things that on page 15, um, the author states a few problems that some people faces, um, and but did not explain it through. So I explained it, stating it is about inside out, how it is the paradigms and not about the behaviors and how the behavior flow from the paradigms. So yeah, I would say I understand it. Yeah, but if I don't understand, I'll let you know. Then perhaps we can learn together. Ly says, "Do you practice all 7 habits in daily life?" Eh, do I practice all 7 habits in daily life? Do I practice all 7 habits in daily life? Um, I guess so. I guess so because every time when there is a seemingly a problem, I think that okay, I'm principle centered, so I So I find that whatever that happens, whatever consequences that happen, there's the best thing that happened to me at that moment for that particular scenario. So I guess I do practice that in daily life. Yeah. Hey, how are you, Smoke Stack? Smoke Stack says, I'm doing good, dude. How about me? How about me? I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Smokestack says, sweet as dude. So what's been happening out your way lately? What's been happening out my way lately? Um, well, nothing much. I've just been reading the book and doing some programming, Python programming, and sometimes I've been trying to watch some YouTube lives as well from different channels. Yeah. Smokestack says, oh, nice. Programming sounds fun. I myself have no clue about the subject, but it still sounds really cool. It still sounds really cool. I myself no clue about project, but it still sounds really cool. Thanks very much. Smokestack says, anytime, dude. All right, if there's no questions, I'm gonna do a reading from the book. In more than 25 years of working with people in business, university, and marriage and family settings, I have come in contact with many individuals who have achieved an incredible degree of outward success, but have found themselves struggling with an inner hunger, a deep need for personal congruency and effectiveness, and for healthy, growing relationships with other people. I suspect some of the problems they have shared with me may be familiar to you. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I've set and met my career goals about the book, and I'm having tremendous professional success, but it's cost me my personal and family life. I don't know my wife and children anymore. I'm not even sure I know myself and what's really important to me. I've had to ask myself, is it worth it? I've started a new diet for the fifth time this year. I know I'm overweight and I really want to change. I read all the new information. I set goals. I get myself all psyched out with a PMA, positive mental attitude, and tell myself I can do it, but I don't. After a few weeks, I fizzle. I just can't seem to keep a promise I made to myself. I've taken course after course on effective management training. I expect a lot out of my employees and I work hard to be friendly toward them and to treat them right, but I don't feel any loyalty from them. I think if I were homesick for a day, they'd spend most of their time gabbing at the water fountain. Why can't I train them to be independent and responsible, or find employees who can be? My teenage son is rebellious and on drugs. No matter what I try, he won't listen to me. What can I do? There's so much to do, and there's never enough time. I feel pressured and hassled all day, every day, 7 days a week. I've attended time management seminars and I've tried half a dozen different planning systems. They've helped some, but I still don't feel I'm living the happy, productive, peaceful life I want to live. Next, I want to teach my children the value of work, but to get them to do anything, I have to supervise every move and put up with complaining every step of the way. It's so much easier to do it myself. Why can't children do their work cheerfully and without being reminded? I'm busy, really busy, but sometimes I wonder if what I'm doing will make any difference in the long run. I really like to think there was meaning in my life, that somehow things were different because I was here. I see my friends or relatives achieve some degree of success or receive some recognition, and I smile and congratulate them enthusiastically. But inside, I'm eating my heart out. Why do I feel this way? I have a forceful personality. I know in almost any interaction, I can control the outcome. Most of the time, I can even do it by influencing others to come up with the solution I want. I think through each situation, and I really feel the ideas I come up with are usually the best for everyone. But I feel uneasy. I always wonder what other people really think of me and my ideas. My marriage has gone flat. We don't fight or anything. We just don't love each other anymore. We've gone to counseling. We've tried a number of things, but we just can't seem to rekindle the feelings we used to have. So these are essentially the problem with outside in. So outside it is the public things, the things people can see. For example, in the first problem, the career goals, the tremendous professional success, money, fame, so wealth, fame, and power, right? So these three things, the three things in the world. So these are um, the public thing, the outside. So what is the inside? It is, for example, my wife and children, myself, what's really important to me, that also known as priorities. These are the inside. So the key it is to change from outside in to inside out. And the reason why we want to do this, we can jump fast forward to habit number one, be proactive. Um, the haves and the bees. So the change paradigm is outside in. What's out there has to change before we can change. So if this is the case, if other people doesn't change, for example, let's talk about hecklers, right? So the change paradigm is outside in. What's out there has to change before we can change. That means the hecklers they have to change. They have to be polite to me. They cannot scold me. They cannot talk bad things about me. If until they change, only then I will become happy. So like this, we empower what's out there to control us. We empower the hecklers to control our emotional lives, which is not exactly an ideal thing. So anytime we think the problem is out there, Smokestack Production says this will make a pretty good audiobook. What are you reading anyhow? What am I reading anyhow? Oh, I'm reading The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. and reading this book by Stephen Covey. So it is about life and how we succeed in life. It is a self-help book. Yeah, it is a self-help book. It can be applied in many areas of life. It has universal application. Apply for Smokestack says, "Oh, nice. Might give it a read myself if I ever stumble on a copy." Cool. Thanks. So, anytime we think the problem is out there, that thought is the problem. So, for example, anytime we think the problem is out there, that thought is the problem. Because the reason why I think it is, I guess, is because we can control our thoughts. So, we want to empower ourselves. If we look at the forward, right, or in front, right, they say to my colleagues, not forward, the um, we see here, I don't know if you can see, yeah, to my colleagues, empowered and empowering. So we want to make sure that we empower ourselves, gives ourselves the control over our lives. And also by doing that, by changing our thoughts, we change other people. We will influence the hecklers. So that is the reason why we want to be proactive and we want the inside out paradigm. So let's see. These are deep problems, painful problems, problems that quick fix approaches can't solve. So obviously it's painful problems. We all have painful problems in our lives, I guess. And why is it deep problem? Because it involves our paradigms, our point of view, the way we look at the world. So it is something that is a problem that is very deep. It's not just a shallow problem that can be fixed easily by changing our behaviors or our attitude. If we try to think positive, right, when there's hecklers talking bad about us and we try to think positively, it might not work continuously because the way we see our experience, our conditioning, our experience tells us a different paints a different story. So to effectively change, we must change our work on our paradigms, characters, and principles. That way, it is more effective in line with the principle of process and by being principle centered as well. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, etc., the golden rule. So, a few years ago, my wife Sandra and I were struggling with this kind of concern. One of our sons was having a very difficult time in school. He was doing poorly academically. He didn't even know how to follow the instructions on the tests, let alone do well on them. Socially, he was immature, often embarrassing those closest to him. Athletically, he was small, skinny, and uncoordinated, swinging his baseball bat, for example, almost before the ball was even pitched. Others would laugh at him. Sandra and I were consumed with a desire to help him. We felt that if success was important in any area of life, it was supremely important in our role as parents. So we worked on our attitudes and behavior toward him, and we tried to work on his. We attempted to psych him up using positive mental attitude techniques. So I guess basically it is outside in this case, which is not the, I guess, the correct way, so to say. It is supposed to be inside out. So come on, son, you can do it. We know you can. Put your hands a little higher on the bat and keep your eye on the ball. Don't swing till it gets close to you. See, it's behaviors, right? This is working on the behaviors. Don't swing till it gets close to you. And if he did a little better, we will go to great lengths to reinforce him. Again, the behaviors and the attitudes. That's good, son. Keep it up. When others laughed, we reprimanded them. Leave him alone. Get off his back. He's just learning. All these things, they They do not work on their paradigms, they do not work on their characters and on the insights. And our son would cry and insist that he'd never be any good and that he didn't like baseball anyway. Nothing we did seemed to help, and we were really worried. We could see the effect this was having on his self esteem. We tried to be encouraging and helpful and positive, but after repeated failure, we finally drew back and tried to look at the situation on a different level. At this time, so this paragraph, what is the meaning of it, right? I guess it is that when you try something and it fails, and you, especially if you try multiple times, change a different way of thinking. The problems that we face, right, cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we first faced the problem. It's a quote from someone. I think it is Albert Einstein or something. So we need a new level of thinking, and this new level of thinking is basically what this book is about. Be it dealing with hecklers, dealing with success in life, with families, with parents, with kids, anything, with friends also. Um, at this time in my professional role, I was involved in leadership development work with various clients throughout the country. In that capacity, I was preparing bi-monthly programs on the subject of communication and perception for IBM's executive development program participants. As I researched and prepared these presentations, I became particularly interested in how perceptions are formed, how they govern the way we see, and how the way we see governs how we behave. This led me to a study of expectancy theory and self-fulfilling prophecies, or the Pygmalion effect, and to a realization of how deeply embedded our perceptions are. Our perceptions, if I'm not mistaken, are rooted in our conditions, conditionings, and experiences, and one more other thing. It taught me that we must look at the lens through which we see the world, as well as at the world we see, and that the lens itself shapes how we interpret the world, just like our spectacles, right? So look at the lens through which we see the world, as well as at the world that we see. As Sandra and I talked about the concepts I was teaching at IBM and about our own situation, we began to realize that what we were doing to help our son was not in harmony with the way we really saw him. When we honestly examined our deepest feelings, we realized that our perception was that he was basically inadequate. What are perceptions? Perceptions, well, they are paradigms. So we see that our son was somehow behind, I guess. No matter how much we work on our attitude and behavior, our efforts were ineffective. Why? Well, because our attitudes and behaviors flow from our paradigms. So, because despite our actions and our words, what we really communicated to him was, you aren't capable, you have to be protected. And why do they say what we really communicated to him? Because what you are shout so loudly, I can hardly hear what you say. So that's why instead of saying, the author, instead of mentioning, explaining that it is because of the characters and the paradigms, he mentioned that what we really communicated to him was this. So that is why this book, it is not just, you cannot read this book, in my opinion, at surface level, and you need to read between the lines, and you need to read finish cover to cover, and then after that you try to deeply understand what the book is teaching about. So how you are able to do this, you can achieve this easier by teaching other people, which is what I'm trying to do with this live stream. So the best student, it is a teacher. So for me, if I want to learn, the easiest way to learn is I teach others. And how to think of a win-win with others. For example, let's say I want to I want everyone to learn as well. So I will assume that everyone is a teacher. So a teacher will teach. So for example, I will ask questions about the book, and then I will pause and give some time, and then you guys can answer the question. So this is something that could be done. Uh, yeah. Smokestack says that sounds like fun. Also, do I have any Lego sets? Well, I used to have Lego sets, I believe, when I was young. I used to, but mostly I did build some stuff. I forgotten what is it. Is it a house or something like that with the the windmill, something like that. Um, but I usually play with bricks, like dominoes like that. But yeah, I do have Lego sets. Smokestack says, yeah, I'm hoping I can build the big Reading Pacific sometime next year when her rebuild is done in Bricklink Studio. Yeah, I guess I've downloaded the Bricklink Studio as well, so I might try to, no commitments as usual, but I might try to um, play around with it, mess around with it. Yeah, reading Pacific. I did search Google a bit about the reading Pacific train, and initially I thought, what is it reading? So I didn't know it is the name. So yeah, I did search Google a bit, and I think that one of the reason that if I was to say, I have a lot of interest in the past, and last time I did play train simulator games as well on my mobile phone, and Train Sim, Play Store, etc. And I really enjoyed it. But nowadays, I hardly gain interest from anything. Last time I used to enjoy a lot of things, train simulators, badminton, etc., cycling, reading. But now I'm not interested in cycling, reading, badminton, all these things. So yeah, so that might be the reason why it is difficult for me to relate to the trains, etc. just like badminton, cycling, all these things. But I'm trying to get myself interested in these things here. LY says the author was having family problems as mentioned in the book. Did he manage to solve those problems? Okay, let's see. Yeah, he did manage to solve those problems, correct? I do remember that he did manage to solve those problems. Smokestack says, "Oh, nice. Yeah, Reading is the name of both a railroad and a city in Pennsylvania. Sweet. That's cool. A city in Pennsylvania. City in Pennsylvania. So yeah, I used to enjoy a lot of things. Train simulators, reading. I read the book The Hardy Boys. Interesting also. Yeah. Nowadays, my interest seems to fade away pretty much about just about anything. Programming also. I'm feel less interest in it in things. Trying to gain back interest. So, the personality and character ethics. Personality ethic is basically about positive mental attitude, PMAs, public relations, PRs, and attitudes and behaviors. There is the past, as of the writing of this book, I guess, the past 50 years of the American history. Yeah. Um, since 200 years ago, since the date of writing of the book, I guess was the American independence, correct? So the first 150 years, it was the character ethic. And then afterwards, the most recent 50 years, it was the personality ethic. Character ethic, it talks about principles, things like integrity, humility, fidelity, temperance, courage, justice, patience, something which I do not have, industry, simplicity, modesty, and the golden rule. Benjamin Franklin's, yeah, primary and secondary greatness. Primary and secondary greatness. Let me see. The power of a paradigm. I'm gonna try to experiment a bit. I try to skip through some of this stuff so that it might not be that boring. So the best way you can learn and you can um, improve we can improve ourselves, it is to borrow the book from the local library or to buy the book and read it, and we teach other people. You don't want to read it as a student, you want to teach the book as a teacher, like what I'm doing, so that you can learn. And if you want to think win-win, you also be a student and let other people be a teacher as well, take turns, um, like what I'm trying to do here. But here also mostly it is I'm taking the role of a teacher. Um, yeah, so that way we can benefit more and we can really see success. Smokestack says, "Hi Brian, hey Brian, uh, I gotta go for now, but hopefully I'll be back later. Just got some stuff to do. If I don't see you before the stream ends, then take care, mate, and have a good day, evening, morning, night." Well, it's an evening for me. Sure, no problem. I understand, man. See you. So the power of a paradigm. The seven habits of highly effective people embody many of the fundamental principles of human effectiveness. These habits are basic, they are primary, they represent the internalization of correct principles upon which enduring happiness and success are based. But before we can really understand these seven habits, we need to understand our own paradigms and how to make a paradigm shift. So the paradigm it is like a map. We all know that the map is not the territory. A map is simply an explanation of certain aspects of the territory. That's exactly what a paradigm is. It is a theory, an explanation, or model of something else. So LY says, "Hi, nice to be in your reading class. Good job. Thank you very much, LY. By the way, what's your real name, LY?" Okay, sorry guys, I've got to end the stream here as well. Hope you guys have a good day ahead. See ya.